What's going on, guys? It's Adonis, and we have the iPhone 12 Pro in studio finally here in Australia. I'm going to be doing some benchmark tests for you guys today. Non-scientific, just plain Jane benchmark tests, and also comparing it to the iPhone 11 Pro Max that I've been using for the past year to kind of get a baseline of see how more powerful is the A14 Bionic chip, and also how fast is 5G here in Australia on the Telstra network. Here in Robina in the Gold Coast, I have 5G literally in my house. I'm fully covered here, so we're about to run some tests, see what's really good, and point out some differences between, let's say, the US iPhone 12 Pro. So without further ado, let's go. Now, I know a lot of you have probably already seen the comparisons as far as the design and stuff like that, the unboxing experience, all that. We're just gonna cut straight to the chase. This new device, as far as performance goes, isn't a gigantic leap, at least in the benchmark test. There are some improvements here and there. There's some weird disappointments at the same time. So let's get into the first test, which is the Geekbench 5 test. Now, I did do a few tests with the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and a couple things we did find out. We're running 6 gigs of RAM here on the iPhone 12 Pro, really awesome, and that's a comparison to the 4 gigs on the iPhone 11 Pro, so definitely a big jump in RAM on the device. Now, some of the things that was interesting is the test that I ran on the iPhone 12 Pro a few times actually underperformed in comparison to the iPhone 11 Pro Max, which was really strange to me. So I'm not 100% sure if it was just the setup process that was still kind of going on in the background with iCloud, but I did run it a few times, and I would say maybe 3 out of the 6 times, it actually scored lower on the multi-core score on the iPhone 12 Pro in comparison to the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, once I did wait a little bit, I did test it again, and it was consistently higher, but I just want to point that out that I'm not 100% sure if it was an iCloud thing going on in the background that was taking up resources, but I did want to bring that to your guys' attention. Now, also in the Geekbench app, it's showing us the 2.99 gigahertz A14 Bionic chip, and that's in comparison to the 2.6 gigahertz A13. Now, that little bump in performance power, I'm not 100% sure if that's all 6 cores in the A14 or if it's just the performance cores. But if you guys know or have seen on other videos a better breakdown of that, let us know in the comments or link a video in there as well so people can check that out. Now, next was the Antutu test. This tests graphic performance, CPU performance, but it's definitely something that's extremely taxing because it's a visual on screen, not just number crunching. So we're actually seeing stuff being displayed on display, gaming, things like that, just to kind of showcase true performance more of in a real life setting. Now, while the iPhone 12 Pro did score consistently higher, averaging well over 500,000, there's one key point in the test that it did not perform better than the iPhone 11 Pro at, and that was actually the GPU performance. Now, this was super interesting because Apple was actually the one talking about how the A14 Bionic chip was so much better than the A13 and graphically. Now, this is just a test, and also they may have been referring to the maybe top of the line chipset that could be in the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So I'm not 100% sure if that's what they were alluding to. Maybe that has the ultimate chipset inside of it. Maybe the 12 Pro is held back a little bit. So when I get that in the studio, I'll test it again and see if it does outperform the 11 Pro Max in the graphic side of the Antutu test. Now, you guys obviously know Apple was hammering home 5G, all keynotes, 5G this and 5G that. Who has the 5G? We have 5G. It was kind of interesting because they were talking as if no other device had 5G prior. And yes, maybe it's the best implementation in a phone thus far. Who knows? But it's just a little funny when they talk about how they're the, this 5G is really here now. It's like, okay, I mean, it's kind of, all right. It hasn't been here before? All right, cool. But with that being said, 5G is here in Australia also with Telstra. I did run that test here. Now, I did want to let you guys know, just so you guys have a heads up of my experience setting up 5G because it wasn't as smooth as I would like it to be. So as soon as I set up the phone, I put my SIM card in it, I was good. But I did notice that 5G was not active. So I went into the settings, turned on 5G in the mobile settings section, and then set it as 5G, basically as if 5G is available, I want 5G. I set that up and it still wouldn't connect. And I was like, what is going on. So I reset network settings on the device. I reset the phone. I, removed the SIM card, replaced the SIM card back in, turned off cellular radio, turned it back on. I did all of the triaging that you could do, and it just would not connect. So then I proceeded to the town center where I went to Telstra, sat down with them, said, hey, I just bought this phone. This isn't working. So they actually had to go in the back end on my account and turn off 5G and re-add it to the account, and then it activated. So if you guys are running into some of these issues here in Australia with your current account, maybe check that out. Or also in the States, if you are, plugging in your SIM card and it's not turning on, you might have to go to the carrier to have them fix it on the back end. I just want to let you guys know the true experience that I had setting up 5G on the iPhone. But once we had it set up, once we had that thing set up, I was like, oh boy, we are in for something interesting. And make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, because the test I'm going to be doing on the next video is going to be so interesting with 5G. So I want to make sure you guys do not miss it. It's going to be super cool. And if it works, it could be awesome. It could be really awesome. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss that video. But the 5G performance on this phone and the 5G radio on this phone is a little different than the one in the States. Now, if you remember in the keynote, or on Apple's promo material on their website, there's a little, section on the side of the phone, on the power button side, that looks like a fingerprint sensor, which a lot of us thought was, hey, was that a Touch ID sensor? Like, what is that little section on the side of the phone? Turns out that's the millimeter wave radio antenna. And on the Australian versions of the phone, we don't have millimeter wave radios in the phones. So while we have 5G, the millimeter wave radio, which allows you to use the millimeter wave frequency, which is the fastest version of 5G, even though it's not a great distance to use it at, we don't have access to that yet here in Australia. So for those that are here in Australia, like, oh man, I wanted the millimeter wave radio. Well, maybe next year, I don't know. That could be a carry situation too. Now, I do know that Telstra here in Australia is working on millimeter wave. I know they're testing it right now, but as far as when it's gonna roll out, who knows? Who knows? However, what I did notice is, oh boy, oh boy. Currently on 4G on my iPhone 12 Pro, I'm getting around 100 to maybe 150 megabits a second down and about 30 to 40 megabits per second up consistently in my house. That is not a crazy, situation here in Australia. I get it almost everywhere. I could be in a center, I could be in a park, I could be at my house. I'm usually getting 100 to 150 down and 40 up, really consistently. So the 5G tests are crazy in comparison. I'm getting consistently over 550 megabits down. At times I've gotten 600 plus down and around 30 to 40 on the upload. And my pings are around 17. I've had, I think, a low 16 on a millisecond for a ping. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty crazy when you think about 600 megabits down from your cell phone. That's wild. So what does that really mean? Well, my home internet here that I do all of my work on, by the way, is 100 megabits down and about 40 up. That's my home internet. By the way, here in Australia, that is as fast as your internet is going to get. I know people in the States are like, bro, for real, that's it? And I'm telling you right now, yes, that's it. That is it. So again, really cool videos coming out on the channel in regards to 5G. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Don't miss that video because it's going to be interesting what I do with it. Now, I want to know what you guys want me to cover on the iPhone 12 Pro here on the channel. Let me know in the comments down below. What are you interested in? And also, what do you want me to cover on the device? Plus, I will be doing the iPhone 12 mini and 12 Pro Max when they drop here in Australia. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss that content. Plus, I will be doing more videos on the iPhone 12 Pro in the next couple of days here. So make sure you guys don't miss that as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will catch you guys in the next one. Till then, stay geeked.